and we are learning the chapter Yud Aleph, first chapter, the verse Yud Aleph, 11. So just a quick recap of what we're talking about. Remember, there's a king. He wants to serve God. He doesn't know how. He's doing sacrifices. He has a dream, that recurring dream, where the angel says to him, your actions are not wanted, your intentions are wanted, your actions are not wanted. And therefore he starts, okay, whoa, I just had a dream, and I was told in my dream that my actions are not wanted. So what are the actions that are wanted? And what does that mean? My intentions are wanted. So he calls in the philosopher. The philosopher says, your dream is not real. God doesn't care about you. He doesn't hear you. He doesn't see you. The world always existed. God always existed. God doesn't hear anybody's prayers. God is too big, too beyond anything to have anything to do with you personally. That's the philosopher. Comes to the Christian. Christian says, and he says to the philosopher, the king, what do you mean? I see billions of people passionate about their religion, that they're willing to die, that they believe there is such a thing as the action that is wanted, and that God sees them, and God wants them to do this. They're willing to die for it. They're willing to kill for it. So you can't say that something that is so vast, a phenomenon that is so humanly powerful, that everyone was looking for this, to do the actions that are wanted. So he comes to the Christian. And the Christian says beautiful things. Everything that we say in the Torah. God created the world, and everything that happened to the Jewish people, from Adam to Noah, is all real, it's all true. It happened over and over again before billions of people and millions of people, and there's no questions about it, and on and on and on. But then something happened. God decided to become a person. God became a person. What? Yeah. God went into a womb of a woman without a man, became a baby came out. It looked like a human, like a prophet, but really it was God. It looked like a father, it was the Son, it was the Holy Ghost, blah, blah, blah. What? I don't understand the word you're saying. If you want to be Christian, you must sacrifice your common sense for the higher cause. No, thanks. Okay, Muslim, what do you have to say? Oh, everything that happened to the Jews is true. And everybody is, again, what the Jews say is true, but Muhammad came along, and he's the final prophet, and nobody else comes before him, and you must believe it. Why? Because this book that he gave is written by God, and it's incredible, and no human being can write it. I read the book. It's not too exciting to me. I think actually a human being could write it, and no, it doesn't do it for me. But everything happened when the Jews was right. But then this angel came to Muhammad and told him, that you're the final prophet. And I also had a dream, so maybe I'll start my own religion. That's it. He decided, he was alone in some room, and some angel came to him, and that's it. That applies to everybody. Islam is one step forward. We're not talking now about it's less. Christianity is actually idol worshiping. God became a person. You're turning the creator into the creator, the created into the creator. It's idol worshipping, but Islam is already less idol worshipping because they're praying to God, but God is not a physical being. But they became these physical, materialistic beings because they say the next world is where you eat and you drink and you have women, you have all the physical pleasures. What? So you didn't turn God into a materialistic being, but you turned yourself into a complete materialistic being with no spiritual. That's your whole spiritual world. Eating and drinking, that's the next world. So you became this this materialistic creature. And this does again, because one guy came along and said, "That's it, it's me, and I'm the final guy," and he was a great, powerful leader, and a murderer, and sorry, it doesn't work. And you're all pointing back to the Jew. The Christian says it all comes from the Jew, and everything happened was true, and then the Muslim says it all goes back to the Jew, and everything happened was true. But he didn't even think to ask the Jews, because the Jews are scattered around the world. We're talking 1,000 years into exile. 1,000 years into the exile. We have no country, we have no state, we have no... And then this book comes along and reminds us two very important things. It's so important to remember the context of this book. The Jewish people are drowning spiritually. Drowning, we're scattered 1,000 years into the exile. What's left of us? Comes along this Rabbi Yehuda Levi and gives us this gift of Kuzari. Remember your mission. You are a nation of priests. You are a nation that the whole world is turning to. How do we serve God? Even though the world hates us for bringing God into the world, but deep down they'll love us and one day they'll thank us. But remember, you have a mission. He didn't even think to ask the Jew because they're scattered. But he comes to the Jew and he says, okay, tell me your... He says, I see I have no choice. These are the words of the Kuzari in number 10. Amar Kuzari, I have no choice. I have to ask the Jews. They are the leftovers of the children of Israel. Can you close the door there, please? And they are the proof that there is God in the world, that God does have a connection with the world. So he asks him and he tells me, tell me about your faith. He doesn't even think there's some deep wisdom here because, like he asked in the Christian and the Muslim, he said, tell me about your faith, your emunah, and your chokhmah, and your actions. He doesn't even think there's a big wisdom there. He doesn't think there's any actions that, you're supposed to do. He has no clue about what Judaism is. And here, the rabbi, Chaver, he's called a friend. This is his answer. Now again, this story happened for real 1,400 years ago. This book was written 1,000 years ago. He took the idea, and he's doing the questions, and he's doing the answers. So it's not a real king. This idea, it's based on, based on a true story. Mm-hmm. There was a king who did speak to a rabbi, and he said, if this is how he put the questions and the answers together. Okay, so it's not but it's geniusly done, obviously. So he says, okay, tell me what do you believe? Amar Achaver, Anachnu ma'aminim be'Elohei Avraham, Yitzchak ve'Yisrael. We believe in the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel. Hamotzi bnei Yisrael miMitzrayim, who took them out of Egypt. Be'otot moftim u'masot, took them out of Egypt with miracles and wonders and right. Umechalkelem b'midvar, and he fed them in the desert 40 years. And he brought them to the land of Israel. After crossing through the sea with incredible wonders, we're talking the Dead Sea, the sea, the Egyptian Sea, and then through the Jordan River, what Joshua did. V'shalach Moshe v'Torah, and he sent Moshe with the Torah. And then there was thousands of prophets who warn us about the Torah. And they tell you all the wonderful things that happens if you keep the Torah. And the punishment. The punishment who goes against it. We believe everything that's in the Torah, but it's very long and it needs to explain. So, before we take this chapter apart, first, we have many questions here. And obviously the king will ask the same questions. The first question was, the order here is wrong. We're talking about a rabbi. Mm-hmm. He says here, I believe in the God of Avraham, Yitzchak, and Israel, took them out of Egypt, brought them to the land of Israel, and gave them the Torah. What was the true order? God took us out of Egypt, gave us the Torah, and then brought us to the land of Israel. So why is the order here not correct? The rabbi doesn't know his history. I mean, this is like very, very like obvious. Number two, where is and this is what the king is going to ask him. Where is where's the story of the creator of the world? Where, right? You're starting from Lech Lecha. The Torah starts with Bereshit bara Elohim l'shamayim v'aretz. The Torah starts telling us how God created the heaven and the earth. So why are you telling me? Why are you telling me? I believe in the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel. That's going to be the good question. And so here's the but just to tell you, this one paragraph here is condensed, is precise, and the whole book is going to go to explain this. Everything is in this one little piece here. Everything is here. And this is the summary and the conclusion of all of our faith. We don't talk, and we're going to get there in a minute, we'll explain it, but we don't talk about, how do we create God? The only thing that we have with God, the first thing God told us when we received the Torah, and that's part of the answer here of the first question. When God spoke to us, he said, I am God who took you out of Egypt. Why didn't God say, I am God who created the world? First time that God is revealing himself to people, like, hello, who are you? I'm God who took you, I'm the creator of the world. Why didn't he say that? And where's the order? Why is the order not correct? Because we have to remember, there's two concepts that we're going to talk about. There's two concepts that we're going to talk about in this book, and it's very important, the order. We say in the prayer before we learn Torah in the morning, we have a prayer that we say. Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim. God chose us from all the nations. And then v'natan lanu et Torato. So, first you need to understand that God chose us. And that's the whole first part of this book. He's going to explain, what does that mean? Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim. What does that mean that God chose us? The Torah, in other words, that's why we're different than any religion. Because any religion is you keep certain things. You are, that's it. You keep it. A religion is you do certain actions. You're part of the religion. You're in. You stop doing the actions. You're out. That's very different than Judaism. Because for us, it's a nation. It's not a religion. We have, obviously, the Torah, and we'll explain what that is. And obviously, it's an important part of who we are. But what makes us who we are is not the Torah. And this is shocking to the king and very upsetting. I'm asking you a question, right? God, Abraham, yes.
What makes us who we are is not the Torah.
Exactly. What makes us who we are is God choosing us. The Torah starts off telling us, Vayomer Hashem el Avraham lech lecha. Hashem told Avraham, lech lecha. Why? Was he a special guy? Did he do anything great? I have no idea. So you're saying God chose Avraham that had nothing to do with who he was and what he did. So look at the upset response that the king gives the rabbi. Okay? Just check what he says here. Amar Kuzari. Maskim ha'iti shelo shalati Yehudi. Now I understand why I didn't ask the Jews. I made the right choice not asking the Jews. Right? He didn't even want to ask the Jew. Right? He asked because these big religions are successful, are like, they have all these philosophies. But the Jews, I shouldn't have even asked them. I knew that they had nothing left of them. There was barely anything left of them. They have no advice. They have no Hashiflut v'adelut lo azvu lehem midat tova. There's nothing good left by the Jews. This is the king's response. This is your response? I ask you about, tell me about your faith. And what do you tell me? Instead of giving me something universal that applies to everybody, you tell me about your grandfather and your grandmother. That's it. I ask you about the creator of the world. How can I connect to the creator of the world? And you start telling me stories about your grandparents. There's nothing left to you. You guys are you don't have what to say to the world. Nothing applies to anybody. It's just about you and your personal your little spiritual connection with your God that starts in a historical time in a certain period with a certain nation, and that's it. Nothing. It's like fraction, which is very interesting. It says also that the difference between holiness and impurity is that it says in the Zohar. I don't learn Zohar, but I heard this, that it says that the tuma, impurity, starts with achdut, starts with unity, and ends with separation, right? Like Korach, right? Kulam kadoshim ubetocham Hashem. We're all holy, and God's in all of us. So why are you becoming? Why are you taking? He's talking unity. We're all one. We're all unity. We're all holy. So why are you taking leadership for you? And then you see everyone gets scattered off, and each one came with their own agenda, and it was like, but it's the words are unity and love and all these wonderful things. But the Torah starts with separation. Hamavdil ben kodesh lechol, separation. But then it goes to the unity. It's all about light unto the nations, and the whole world will understand the Shema Hashem Echad, Hashem Eloheinu, God who's our personal God. Hashem Echad, He will be God of the world, and everyone will know Him, and everyone will be connected to. But it starts off with, we first start with separation. So the king is super upset, and he says, I shouldn't have asked the Jews. There's nothing left of them. They are completely. That's what you said. This is what you should have said. The king is like telling him, let me tell you what you should say. Oh, you want to also give me advice? This is what you should have said. Okay, tell me. You should have said like this. I believe in the creator of the world. This is what you should have said to me. I believe in the creator of the world, who runs the world, who guides the world. And that they created you and gives you sustenance and keeps you alive and gives you food. This is the way to talk. Anyone who has a religion, this is what it's about. It's about the creator of the world. And it's about how to connect the creator of the world. And that's why, because there's a God who created the world and takes care of me and does good, therefore I want to run after justice and righteousness. And I want to be like Him. And I want to, and His righteousness and His wisdom. This is the way to talk. This is the way that you want to talk about God. This is how you talk about God. So comes along the rabbi and says, I'm sorry, you know what your problem is? Or you came to ask me a question. And now you're telling me how I should answer you. Okay? So why don't you have a conversation with yourself? Why don't you just tell yourself what you want to say? But I understand that you have something that's bothering you. What's bothering you is that an angel came to you. An angel, which is your soul, came to you. You hear something inside telling you that there's something that is approaching you. And this is the difference between idol worshiping and serving God. What is the difference? And this is the answer. The first thing that God said to us when He spoke to us on Mount Sinai, what did He say? Anochi Hashem Elohecha Asher Otzetecha Mitzrayim. I am your God who took you out of Egypt. And what was the second thing? Lo yeh lecha Elohim achrim al panai. Do not invent your own God. So, you know what your problem is, the king? Ze shata omer, what you're talking about is hadat ha-hegionit. You're talking about a religion that makes sense. That you can create, you can decide how you want to run the country, or you want to invent. You're talking, you see yourself as the focus and center of everything, and you decide who God is, and you decide how to serve God. But that's what you did. That's what you did. You have to take your mind out of. You are in this place of, I can either invent God in my intellect. I'll decide who God is, and then I'll decide how to serve Him, like you did. But it didn't work, right? Or you could decide your emotional aspect of it, like Christianity, how how you feel, and be emotionally uplifted and spiritually move. But I'm excited. But it's emotionally exciting. You go into the churches. There's music. There's like art, and there's music, and there's it's a powerful spirit, like aesthetic experience. That's very nice. But that's all you deciding who God is. It's pride. It's saying, it's starting from below to above. I am the center of focus. God bless you. I am the center and the focus of everything, and I will decide who God is. I'll decide to serve Him, and I decide who He is. He says, okay, you're saying what you're talking about, with the way you just now told me, here's how you make a religion. You decide who God is, and then you say, I'll do things to be like Him. Wrong. Because what happens in that situation? Where people invent their own religions, that's exactly what the philosopher said in the beginning of the book. The philosopher said, religion is a great thing. B'derech hadat, invent your own religion. Like in the 12-step solution. You have to believe in some higher power. It helps you to overcome your addictions. It's great. As long as, like the philosopher said, as long as you develop your intellect, which is the purpose of creation. So if a religion helps you to do that, it's like, it's culture, it's great. Go for it. Make up some religion. Your whole mind is in pride. It's in yourself. What we said, the second thing God told us, I am God, took you to Egypt, and don't create gods. Do not make idols. Do not, because the natural thing, all the other religions, Kol Elohei Ha'amim Elilim, all the other religions, all the other gods are idols. Hashem Shamayim Asa, and God created the heavens and the earth. If you go look around, you're right. Okay, you know what? So make your own religion. Let's look what happens when people make their own religion. What happens? Nobody agrees on anything. Everyone makes up something else. And there's always a doubt. There's always a doubt whether it's right or wrong. Right? Nobody has anything that can prove it. Everything that is based on, let's make something that is, let's make a religion that is based on common sense, that is manners, right?
It's because like
anything that is created with human thought. So here we're coming into a new concept. The word emunah, faith, is not your intellect. It's not sechel, and it's not your emotion. Like we said, like the Christianity was more emotion, and Islam is more based on the book, which is the intellect. Even though the last 500 years, the Islam they used to be very advanced. 500 years ago, they basically froze and they stopped having any development. They used to be the height of intellectual development and learning and understanding and technology and everything. But basically, we're learning here something new. We're learning something new, that there's emunah. Emunah is another sense. That is something that is completely certain, that is completely real, that 100%. Basically, I'll explain it by. So now when he says this to him, you want something that is real, there's zero doubt. That's what I'm talking about. When I tell you that Hashem spoke to Abraham, Hashem and Abraham, when God spoke to Abraham, everything comes from above to below. It wasn't that Abraham invented this. God came. You can't find God. God finds you. I'll tell this quick story that really explains it in a powerful way. And this is a midrash on the Parshat Lech Lecha. It tells a story about a few friends that were going to a party. And this is midrash is based on that famous thing that everyone knows, that Avram Avinu, he went to the sun, he said, "Are you God?" And then the sun set, and then he saw the water. "Are you God?" And he sees water evaporating, and then he sees clouds, and everything's going. He's searching through God in nature, and nothing is giving him the answer. So the midrash explains an amazing story to explain this. That there was a few friends that they came to this guy named Abraham, and they said, "Let's go to a party." Sure. And they said to him, "This is the most amazing party. You can eat, drink, do whatever you want. There's food, there's drink, there's lights, there's music, everything. You can have everything you want." Now, Avram's a thinking person. He said to his friends, I don't want to enjoy this party until I can meet the host and say thank you. And they said, "Who cares? It's a party. It's a nice guy. What does it make a difference?" No, I'm a kind of person that I was taught when you come to a party, you thank the host and then you go on. And they say it doesn't make a difference. Oh, there. There's the host. There's the host. They see a guy coming out of the room with holding a platter with drinks. There's the host. He's coming out of he's not part of where everyone is, from like a place that a back room. He says, "Are you the host?" They say, "Oh, there's the host. Thank you. We love the party. You're great." Avram asks the guy, "Are you the host?" "I'm the host. Do I look like the host? I'm the waiter." And he's going around. They say, "Oh, see that guy coming out of there? There's a guy he's coming out of the back room. Are you the host?" "No, I'm the janitor. I'm the butler. He tells the guys, "You guys go enjoy. I'm going to go outside." And he goes and sits by the tree. He sits by the tree, and suddenly someone near him says, "Hi, how are you?" And he says, "Who are you?" He says, "I'm the host." "You're the host?" "Yeah, I've been looking for you all this time. Why aren't you there?" "Well, I'll tell you, I was in the party. I love giving to people. I love opening my home. And one thing I asked from the people that were there, don't go into my room. Off limits. Don't go into my drawer. And don't take my things." And people went in and took my things. So I decided I don't want to be in that party. And Avram says to this guy, "Listen, you seem like an incredible person. The fact that you love giving and I would never do that. You would never do it? How do I trust you?" Everyone said they would never do it. Everyone says nice words. He says, I can't prove it to you. But let's start a relationship, and you'll see that I'm a person that respects what you say is right and wrong, what you say not to do or to do. So the Midrash says that we learn from this story incredible things. What was the drawer he said not to go into? Was the tree of knowledge, good and bad. What is the tree of knowledge, good and bad? Is what we call humanism. I am the center of the world. I decide what's good and bad. So when Adam and Chava ate from the tree, they did what God said. Do not decide what's good and bad. I decide what's good. I decide what's bad. And this was a mistake. So Avram Avinu was tested, and the final test was, "Avram, do you think it's good to kill your son?" "No, I think it's good. Go kill your son." The big test of Akedat Yitzchak. Are you going to eat from the tree of knowledge, good and bad again, or are you not going to do it? And this repeats itself over the sin of the golden calf. Same thing. What's the problem? We're not trying to replace God, and we're going to talk about this in the book later on. We're not trying to replace God. All we want to do is Moses is gone. We need some way. We can't. God is too great for us to connect directly to God. We need something to connect. We need Moshe Rabbeinu. We need something. So we'll create this. The problem is not the creating this. The problem is God didn't say you should create this. Because you also have the Kruvim that later on God says to create. Or you have, right, And the problem is, you don't decide, and we will and there was incredible theory behind the golden calf. Golden calf is you take the bull, this power, the most powerful, D9, the powerful, like taking all the strength you have, the bull, and grabbing the bull by the horns and using that force to serve God. The only one problem, I didn't ask you to do that. So this is very difficult, and this is exactly what we're talking about here. Our religion all begins, our connection with God only starts from where God finds us. So that famous story of Avram Avinu looking for this, looking for that. When did Avram Avinu find God? When he gave up. Yes, he did his maximum of his effort. And the Rambam says that idol worshiping comes because people searched, didn't search far enough. They gave up halfway. And they just settled with the waiter coming out. Okay, fine, I'll bow down to the sun, I'll bow down to the moon. You have the sun, the moon, all the servants of God okay, I'll serve them. What's the problem? Only problem is God didn't say to serve them. God doesn't want you to serve them, and you have to have a direct connection with God. But here is the secret, the point of everything here. The point of everything is we are not inventing anything. We are not coming up with any theories on who God is. We're not coming up with any theories on how to serve God. Everything that we're talking about is coming from what is God approaching us, and where he is choosing to reveal himself, and how much he's choosing to reveal himself, and what he wants to reveal. I'm not talking to you any what's called esoteric or any spiritual concepts that a human being created. This is not human, and therefore I'm only going to talk to you, says the rabbi. I'm only going to talk to you about what I know. I know, I've experienced, I understand, I have a connection to, I have a relationship with. It is not coming from what we call from below to above. It's all coming from above to below, where God revealed himself and where God decided to connect. And that's what I can tell you. And therefore, so when the king hears this, he says, okay, now you're talking sense. Now I see what you're saying. I like what you're saying. It's better than your opening. Your opening statement was terrible. Your opening statement was very, bad. And I want you to keep going. I didn't like what you started off, but now it's more, right? Keep going. Keep explaining the second part of what you spoke, not the first part. Right? I don't want to hear about your grandfather and your grandmother, Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, and some small nation that happened at a certain 1,000, 2,000 years ago. I want to hear about the creator of the world, and how do you create a religion, and how do you connect to God, right? Don't tell me about your small little nation. I want to hear universal. I want to hear things that apply to me. Okay? I want to hear about the creator of the world. I want to hear about how you serve God. I don't want to hear about your family stories. Okay? Tell me more about God. The rabbi says, but I guess you don't get it. The rabbi says, Avad ptichati divrei mofet. But I'm telling you that what I started opening up with, this is the miracle. This is the wonder. This is the connection to God. And this is the proof that you do not, lo tzarich ima lo raya v'lo mofet. You have a mistake. What I started with was the facts, was the proof. I'm sorry, but this is it. This is something that is completely certain, without any doubt whatsoever. And like we said, the intellect can go very far, but it's limited. It's always questionable. Anything that you come up with, any scientific development is always subject to criticism and to new developments. As great as it is, and as smart as it is, it's only as true as it is for now, until we understand new things, until we have a higher level of understanding. It's always with doubts. And what I'm going to show you is something completely. This story of my grandfather and grandmother, They came out of Egypt. This is where the facts are. This is where the proof is. This is where the connection is. The life is. The life connection. It's like prove. You have your parents. Prove me that they're your parents. What do you mean? I live with them. I have a connection with them. I don't need to prove anything. This is what we call emunah. It's not something that I understand in my brain. It's not something that I feel it because it's emotionally connected to it. It's something that is life. That's what we call emunah. Sadiq be'emunato yichya. A righteous person lives with that. So the Kuzari says, how is that story of your grandfather, of Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov? How is that the connection to God? That's so small. It's like that's not the universal connection that we're looking for with Creator of the world, right? How does the story of you coming out of Egypt connect to my search for godliness and connection to God? Give me permission. Amar Chaver, im titen li reshut, if you give me permission, lakdim akdamot, if you give me permission to give you some background information, there's sometimes I have to build a foundation. You want to see the building, you have to allow me to build the story, to build the ideas. I need to give you some context. I need you to have patience. You can't keep cutting me off. You can't keep, I understand you want to know everything right now and fast and everything else, but it's not going to work that way. You have to give me permission to give you some introductions, to build some foundations. I understand it's a heavy concept to understand what I'm talking about. It's not simple, but if you give me permission, I'll help you. I understand you didn't understand the word that I said, and therefore you're putting down what I'm saying. You're saying, oh, your religion is just your sectorial connection to God with your nation and in a certain specific historical period, but God always was and God always is. So I don't understand, but you need patience. I can't do it right away, right? I have to break it down, and you need patience. Let me explain to you slowly. So he says, okay, fine. So I will first explain to you first, right? So he says, go ahead. Okay, go ahead. Give me your introductions and I will listen. So he says, I'll explain to you why the connection to God and the action that is wanted by God has to pass through the understanding of the essence of the Jewish nation in creation and how they're connected one to another. Okay? So just let me make it very clear to you, says the rabbi. You should know, whoever doesn't believe in the story of coming out of Egypt and in this what we call Sgulat Israel, the inherent holiness and chosenness of the Jewish nation, does not believe in God. Because this Sgulat Israel, this concept of the chosen people, is the foundation for the whole Torah, and whoever doesn't believe it doesn't believe in anything. This is unbelievable. Amar Achaver. So now he's going into explaining. The rabbi is going into giving a parable. Parables are very powerful. It says in the Gemara that Abaye would give 300 parables, knowing how to give an example that you can, through a story, you can relate to something, is a huge wisdom. It's very complex to find the right story and then explain it. But he says, let me explain it. Amar Chaver. Okay, let me tell you a story. And by a story, you'll maybe be able to understand what I'm talking about. Let's say you were told that in the other side of the world, like today we would say Honolulu or someplace, right? It's actually the furthest place from Israel is Hawaii, right? Honolulu is like if you take a pin and you go to the other side, you get to Hawaii.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe that's why I say a lot of the beauty fell down there. It's a very beautiful place as well. But so if you were told that there was a king of India, Ish Chesed, righteous person, Ra'ui leromemo v'latet kavod. And he's so great. You need to say how great he is, and you have to respect him, his name, and tell his stories. Because you heard about the people that live in that nation in India. India was like considered a place that's like other side of the world. And you heard about these people are so amazing and that they're so honest. Would you believe it? Would you do it? You heard about these people are so amazing, they're so incredible. Would you now start praising this king? What do you think? Okay. So, obviously, what's the answer? I'm telling you about this king that's so incredible. So he says, I'll give you an example, right? So obviously, would this convince you that you would actually change the way you run your kingdom? What's the answer? Obviously, no. Obviously, no. Maybe those people are just good people and the king's a bad person. Who knows? Maybe they don't even have a king. Maybe they're good because they don't have a king. Maybe, who knows? This doesn't how do you say, it doesn't make me have to do anything.
What's that king ever done for me anyway?
Exactly.
He's over on the
what has he done for me? And when I don't owe anything to him and I have nothing, I don't care about him. Makes no difference to me. Okay, he says, let me take it now one step forward. Now, but if they came to you with gifts, the messengers of the king, the ministers of the king came to you. If they came to you with gifts, and you see, and they tell you, not only did he tell you about how this king runs his kingdom, they give you the secrets of how this king runs his kingdom, and they bring you a letter from the king. Okay? Now, if this would happen, you would have no doubts that there is a king. Okay? There's still a problem. You can't meet the king. You could only meet his servants. Right? But, and who obviously, we're getting to the explanation. Who are these servants? Are obviously the Jewish people. You can't ever meet God directly. Therefore, we don't tell you stories about who created the world, because that's just a waste of time. Who cares? It's as if I'm telling you about someone who's incredible and he does this and he does this and he does that, and you say, who cares? Who cares? He's so talented, he's so smart, and he can do all these things. You say, who cares? Who cares? And then I say to you, by the way, you know that he's actually your brother that you never knew you had. Wait, where does he live? What does he do? In other words, the only place we start is from where does the connection start? Who cares about that God created the world? Where does it apply to me? Oh, Shalom Aleichem. Okay? So here we go. Therefore, and these people, and these messengers of the king, Baruch haba. Welcome. And these messengers of the king, they come not only, so now we're talking already, you're meeting the messengers of the king, which is right now the rabbi who's speaking to the king. You're meeting me. This is one of the people that came in contact with the creator of the world. And he's bringing with him, and this king sent you gifts. What are these gifts? All kinds of medicines that heal you from your sickness or disease and all of your kingdom. And they keep you healthy. And weapons that you can destroy all of your enemies that fight against you. When you go to war, you fight them without even using weapons. Now would you say that you believe in the king, that you want a connection to the king, that you would change your whole reality This is a revolution. If I would tell you this, that the king is giving you a solution to all the medical problems, to all the financial problems, to all the security problems, everything. Now, would you say, wow, this is something that is worthwhile praising and really making some major changes that I can run my country like this? What's it talking about? What's this medication that could cure your kingdom? What is he talking about? The Torah. The Jewish nation has some kind of medication that makes us stay eternal. Every nation is the same way. A human being has a certain period to live, 120 years. That's how the natural world works with nations. All the nations that once were, they come and they exist, they have their time to shine, and then they die and they move on. And there's no connection between the Egyptian then and the Egyptian now. There's no connection between the Romans then and the Romans now. It's gone. It's completely different realities. But the only nation that is eternal and that will be eternal and that lives forever, like when it's very interesting. In the Torah, it talks about when someone dies, it says don't cut yourself. Don't lo tisratu saratet. No, what you've got to do. What it says, don't cut yourself and don't inflict yourself. Why? What does the Torah say? Ki banim atem laHashem Elohechem. Because you are the children of God. What does that mean to be a child of God? It means that don't let death be something that devastates you so badly, because it's not the reality. The Jewish people continue, are eternal. And when Shaul messed up, and Shmuel came to him and said, "You made a mistake, but don't worry. It's not the end of the Jewish people. Netzach Yisrael lo yinachem velo yishaker. The eternity of Israel will be forever. Ki lo adam hu linachem. It's not like a person. It's not like a person that lives and dies. It's eternal. The Jewish nation will live forever. And this is that revelation that we had this is our connection to the Creator of the world, who gave us these medications, whatever the Torah is, Samachayim, the drug of life, and we live forever. The Jewish people live forever. It's just a fact. And you see, the nations do everything they can to destroy us, and they're trying to destroy us, and they're trying everything they try. We get hit hard, but we never get destroyed. And all the money and nothing works. Everyone who came, Paro, Nebuchadnezzar, Titus, all right, on and on and on. All miracles, wonders above nature. And it's just unbelievable. So therefore, the Jewish people, we met the Creator of the world. The Jewish nation met the Creator of the world. We met that King. And we have with us those gifts. 600,000 people and millions of old people and women and children. All of our souls, we all met the Creator of the world. So he says, obviously, if you would say this, if you would say all these things, then I wouldn't have any doubt. If you could really show me, if I would meet those ministers of the king, and I would see those gifts, and see how I could run, how I experience myself, then my first doubt would be gone. Now remember what the rabbi said. I'm going to give you introductions. It's a build-up. It's a slowly. I'm giving you a foundation. I'm building a first floor. I'm building the foundations, and then you'll see the big picture in the end. But I'm starting off just giving you a little bit of an understanding. He says, yeah, if this would happen, then yes, he says, I would have no doubt. My first doubt would be gone. I would obviously I would know that I would know that there's a king, and I would know that it applies to me. right? At first it was just like talking, but now if I can't, these are facts. I can't deny the facts. If these people show me the proof of this kingdom, and I see their medications, I see that their existence and how they've existed, and I hear their story, then I know he's here. Right? Vayired Hashem al Har Sinai. God came down on Mount Sinai. There is God in the world, and he does talk to people. And that was the concept that he couldn't believe. I can't accept it. I can't accept that there's a God that actually communicates with people. That's too... Why would God, that's so great and so big and so beyond, why would he communicate with people? I can't wrap my mind around that, and I can't believe that. But if you would come and show me and prove it to me like you just said, in the story of the king of India, then I would believe it. Obviously, we're not talking about the essence of God, right? We're just talking about what God reveals himself. The revelation of God. We don't know who God is, zero. But we know what God wants us to know about him. And that's what we're only talking about. We're only talking about things that are realistic, things that are reality. We're not talking about vague concepts and theories, and we're talking about life, connection, real existence, revelations that are real, that happen not from us, that we invented, but from God to us, from above to below, not from below to above. This is not human, this is godly. Okay? And we're talking about the effect of the light that are in the Jewish people. It says also Avram Avinu that he fought. How did you read the story? It's like shocking. In the Torah, read the story about this king. The four kings that were powerful, four kings that beat the five kings. You have four kings, four armies, beat the five armies. It means that those four armies were stronger, more powerful than the five armies. And then Avram Avinu hears, oh, they captured my brother-in-law, Lot, who was not the greatest guy in the world. But they captured him, and he goes to fight him. How did he fight him? They say he had like sand that he threw, and he defeated these armies. It's like in Israel. I don't know if you know. And there was if you go to in the center of Jerusalem, there's a place called the Vidka. The Vidka is like a bomb that we created. That it's a bomb that makes a huge noise, but does nothing. It could fall on your head and nothing would happen to you.
Huh?
We had no ammunition. We had no bombs, so we invented these bombs that just make noise, and we bomb them, and they make this big it makes this big mushroom that looks like maybe nuclear, or looks like this like. But we've had situations. If you look back at the wars of our time, the miracles upon miracles. Just now, 630 bombs that were sent from Iran to Israel. That's not a miracle. 630 bombs.
It's 300 now.
They say that 300 only, they made it. The other 300 fell on the way. So it was 650, 300 made it and were knocked down. This is just part of the, obviously it's through our efforts and but like it's a miracle beyond miracle. And that God just knocked out for us four of the, or many of these like enemies that are like our enemy. It's unbelievable. We don't see it, but like, the miracles that we're living in today are nothing short of a miracle.
He also just killed the Khomeini's successor. That's nice. Yeah.
So it's like Hashem is with us. Hashem loves us. Hashem is doing everything for us. He's guiding us. And we're not talking about anything that is not reality. We're not talking, you want to have a connection with God? Have a connection with what God decided to connect with you. And that's why we're going to start talking about Avram, Yitzchak, and the Jewish nation, because that's where it all begins. And by the way, that's really where it all begins, because how do we know everything about what God created the world? Only because Moshe Rabbeinu wrote the Torah and went backwards and wrote to us retroactive what happened from the beginning. In other words, it started from Avram to Yaakov. We received the Torah, and then he told us about what happened in the past. And Rashi says the only reason why we had to put the story of God creating the world, Bereshit Ba'alim V'Shemar Haaretz, is so when the nations of the world say, thieves, you stole the land of Israel, we could say, excuse me, who created the world? God. who does it own? It's all owned by God. He decides who to give it to and who not to give it to. So even that is only for the Jewish people, the Jewish nation, to be able to explain to the nations of the world why Israel is the land of Israel is ours. So anyway, so that's the beginning opening statement, and obviously you have a whole book to explain this concept of what is the Jewish nation, and then later on, what is the Torah. First we'll understand what it means. God chose us from all the nations, and then we'll go to talk about why He gave us the Torah and what is the role and what is the value of the Torah. So first we're going to understand, but understand that it's complex. You need introductions. You need to open up your mind. You need to understand certain fundamentals of concepts in order to be able to internalize this concept of what is the Jewish nation and then what is the Torah. So we have to have patience, and slowly we'll work towards it. Next week we'll continue. Thank you very much, guys.
Ta-ta.